I trust Josh Jacobs and I trust Jordan Love way more than I trust the Vikings. That's what it comes down to. But Minnesota's at home, so man, that's going to be an incredible game. But we'll talk about that one later. But you know, we'll
What's going on,
you know,
sir? Good Saturday
yeah,
morning. Good Saturday morning.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. Happy early New Year, man, my brother. We back here. Unbelievable matchup coming up here. We as we talk into this game. It's a lot riding on this Lions Niners game. To me, I think, especially if the Vikings do win, the Lions they're gonna go in there and have to beat the Niners, which I think that Lions, trust me, the Lions gonna win this game, man. I'll say it right off the bat. Shout out to Malcolm, our guy out there in the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to just drop it on you real fast, but I don't see any pushback by the Niners, this week. They're beat up too, Walt, as you know, as well as we are. It looks like Trent Williams might not play.
Yeah, I
They
think they
also,
shut him down for the season.
yep, and they're already missing Ayuk, I think, who's not. I don't have it in front of me here. I got to go back to it. Oh yeah, here it goes right here. And I just think the Lions got way more bigger fish to fry down the road here. So this game, obviously, we would have wanted everything to be full strength and just have these two, teams from last year just battle out on the field. Which it's a shame that injuries and different circumstances have allowed this matchup not to be as great as it probably would have been when we seen the schedule. You know what I'm saying? When it came out at the beginning of the season, we like, man, this is going to be a preview of the NFC championship game again. So for me, I'm just looking just to play crisp football, just like we did last week. Don't obviously no injuries. You know what I'm saying? That's number one. But to just go in there and we're right now we're the more healthy team. I think regardless if San Francisco, it's easy to say it hindsight now, but I just think that we're the better team anyway. You know what I'm saying? Going into this season, you know what I mean? It's a lot of things that the Niners did last year that the Lions was kind of wishing they was that team, and we kind of showed uh the the lack thereof on the secondary last year. Walt, let's be honest, the Lions should have won the game last year, and I think we got a better team this year. I don't think the team last year was as good as this year, and we still should have beat the Niners. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it. So now, obviously, we're missing Derek Barnes and Aiden Hutchinson and some guys that we had last year in that game, and that we're not going to have Mac Rodriguez, who got an interception in that game last year. He's out. I still think the Lions are a better team, man. You know what I'm saying? Even with the injuries, man, better than the Niners. I trust Jared Goff in this situation way more than I trust Brock Purdy. I still ain't a Brock Purdy fan. I'm not gonna. There's not a Brock Purdy bash fest, but let's be honest. I trust Jared Goff. I think these guys will come
Man,
in
we can
there.
say whatever we want to say about Brock. He ain't exempt for criticism.
Yeah,
I get what you saying, but it's like people feel like they can't really hold him to the same standards that they hold every other single starting quarterback in the NFL to. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
fact. No, I was just, you're absolutely right. And I think because he's such a good guy, you know what I'm saying? And I think that everybody doesn't want to crit, just like Jared Goff. I think
He
a
got
lot
that
of
young, unassuming look to him. Or Michael
yeah,
J. Fox looking at
yeah. So it's like he ain't rah rah. He ain't walking around with Kirk Cousins
last
with it.
pick in the draft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, with a fake chain on, and he ain't doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? He just go out there and do what he's asked to do. So, Debo Samuel hasn't been the same Debo Samuel. He's been the last couple of years. I think maybe he may be a little beat up. He may just not want to play for the Niners no more. I don't know. I don't want to push a narrative out there, but it just doesn't seem right with him. Brandon Ayuk's been hurt. George Kittle's been the constant. He's been the one guy that constantly performs, man, week in and week out. So I think that, yeah, if you're the Lions, you're gonna have to, account for him. But it's just this a game. I'll let you take it away. I just think the Lions should win this game, man. You know what I'm saying? I look at only thing I was looking at too. was the running back, and it looks like Isaac Guriendo. He's going to be out too. That's a guy I really like. Guriendo came in and filled in a little bit for Christian McCaffrey. Guriendo, I think he's from Louisville. I think he was coming out of Louisville. I really liked him. Fourth round pick. Not going to be there this week, so it looks like Patrick Taylor might be a guy.
He said it, not me. I did start it though, man. Go back to the future face having it.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Old family ties looking ass, man.
uh,
Fa la la la.
yeah, they got two guys that I do like on their secondary. Who came back? Ufanga, who came back. Really good safety man. Back in there. Malik Mustafa, who's been making some plays, built like
Yeah,
RoboCop. It's another guy you got to take account for. Renardo Green is another guy I like. Leon Diamador Lenore is another guy. I mean, they got some
yeah.
talent on the team. It's not like they don't, but I just expect the Lions to go in there and win, man. Sorry to be so long winded. Go ahead.
No, you got it. You got it, brother.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say this. I agree 100%. Also, I want to get to some of these injuries real quick. We did get some good news starting yesterday. Matter of fact, after missing Thursday, of course, Terrion Arnold was back at practice yesterday, dealing with an illness. He's good. Looks like he's pretty much going to be good to go. Graham Glasgow, regardless of how we feel about him towards this part of his career, we're still better with him, depth wise and on the field, than without him, considering what we have behind him. Although, and we're gonna talk about this dude in a minute, Christian Mahogany, his first game as a starter, he was
Oh,
solid. He was
tremendous.
solid, and I think that's something we severely needed as well. We needed one of those young guys on the offensive line because I don't think Source Dog honestly is going to be it long term. Who else? Oh yeah, Khalif Raymond also. Khalif, him being back, I
Leaf,
know a
yeah.
couple weeks ago, a lot of people, including us, thought that he may be out for the season. He may be completely done. He had a full day of practice yesterday, which was great.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Reeves Maben dealing with a neck issue, even though Reeves Maben isn't really there to be the number one linebacker, number two, number three, maybe not even the number four linebacker. Once again, we're still better with him out there and on the field than
Yeah.
without him. So, and we can't be picky. You know what I'm saying? Beggars can't be choosy. As
Nope.
many injuries as we have, we need to get everybody back. And if getting Khalif Raymond back means it makes the offense this much better, I'm all with it. So, because at the end of the day, man, and I brought this up on Neil's show yesterday, Neil Green's show yesterday. If you look at all the guff, I've been watching some silly '80s movies lately. But if you pay attention to all the crap the Lions been taking all season, oh, you're so injured. Eventually, the clock is going to strike 12. It's over for you guys. The funny thing is, this team, after 16 weeks, they're still the number one scoring offense in football. And defensively, even
Yeah.
with that 40-plus point game that they gave up to Buffalo, they still give up the seventh least amount of points in football, man. This team is damn near imperial. To
Yeah.
have 16 players on IR, to be missing that many players on
Yeah.
defense, and still have a top 7 defense in the NFL scoring wise.
Yeah.
And most of those numbers got inflated by Buffalo. Because
Yeah.
before the Buffalo game, I believe we were fifth in the league defensively in points given up. So, it's this team has proven, even if we're injured, it's the coaching, it's the scheme. Ralphie brought that up the last show. It gets to a point where even with it, I don't want to compare it to what New England had because New England went on to win multiple Super Bowls, and be competitive and make conference championship after conference championship. But when you have that scheme in place, you have that culture in place, it gets to a point where these dudes that's playing now, even the ones off the street, the guys who was here in the offseason in camp, this offseason, the previous offseason, the Anthony Pittman Juniors and the Craig Reynolds, those guys, they've been in and out the lineup, they've been in and out the organization, but they're still extremely familiar with what this organization wants. And
Yeah.
that's why they keep bringing them back. They feel comfortable bringing certain people back, like
Yeah.
Bridgewater for that matter.
Yeah.
So then it gets to a point where it's instilled. Even players who don't have long-term commitments from this organization, they still go out there and play hard as hell for us.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
goes to show you how much respect that people have around the league for this organization, man. If he gets to a point where Aaron Glenn can just, all right, next man up, literally.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep running this man coverage. We're gonna keep Jack in the middle of the defense. We're gonna let this young man, do what he does. He's hot right now. He's hit his stride, it appears. And as long as we can keep one of those defensive tackles in there, even though Aleem is gone now, and I still think long term, it all depends on what type of matchups we get playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
We may miss not having that size in the middle against some teams. It could happen. Then
Yeah.
again, who knows? But
Yeah.
yeah, I just think that right now, man, this team is too good. I look at the competition Frisco's had the last few weeks of what they've had all season. They've been so beat up, not as much as us, but
Yeah.
people give them all the excuses in the world. You know, our quarterback, if we was beat up like that, they would still expect him to go out there and do it. They would
Hmm.
probably antagonize him to do it. But it's like
Yeah.
with Purdy, everybody lays off. But no, man, listen, Frisco, the one stat that I picked up on that was really damning for Frisco in this game, the last 5 games, 4 of the last 5 games, they've been held, I believe, 18 or less.
That's not gonna
That's
cut
how
it.
that's how bad that offense has been as of late.
Yeah, that's not gonna cut it against us. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to be able to score to beat the Lions, period. And when I look at it, I looked at the stat. I think Aiden Hutchinson still leads us in sacks. And he hasn't been playing since October, man. That's the only
He
stat that
better
got.
not still lead us in pressures.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, since he's been out, he still got 7.5 sacks. Still lead the team. Okay. What I'm looking for, man. What I'm saying is, we should play and really be like this. Should be target practice for getting to the quarterback this week. I really want to see us get. Okay, can you give me 2 sacks? Can you give me 3 sacks this week? You know what I mean? Levi Onwuzurike, Pat O'Connor. Depends on how much he's in there. Broderick Martin, Jonah Williams, Zadarius Smith, who's played well. He needs, obviously we know he's kind of in it with one hand right now. You know what I'm saying? It's not fair fight for him because he's kind of doesn't have a help. But what I'm saying is, Levi, Zadarius Smith, Josh Pascal, El Qadim Muhammad, Jonah Williams, Project Mark. Can we generate get some sacks, man? Give me some sacks. That's what I'm looking for this week. The offense gonna be fine. I love the way Jameer Gibbs played last week. Just showing that he could be um dependent on, which we all know that everybody knows that, but just a bigger load makes a difference, man. Going from 15 touches to possibly 22 to 25 is a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? So, in key situations, we already knows that Jameer has a knack for getting to the first down marker. He does that constantly, time and time again. Around the goal line, he's deadly. In the open field. So I think that part's not gonna stop. You know what I mean? That's why I think this Lions team is still formidable. Craig Reynolds. Sparingly Jamar Jefferson sparingly caught one out of the backfield. So I kind of like that. And then what I really do like too is the protection last week on Jared Goff. I mean, he got sacked, I think maybe once or twice in that game, but for the most part, it was a clean game, man. And I was really worried about Chicago, thinking that Chicago gonna play with their hair on fire. That team done, man. That Chicago team. I think San Fran is a little bit better, way better shape than the Niners, but
It was,
I.
as much issues as people give Detroit offensive line this season, and I think
Mhm,
it's mainly because we hold them to such a high standard. They
yeah.
protected Goff really, really well all season.
Yep.
He hasn't been sacked too much. He hasn't been pressured a whole lot. He's
Yeah.
done a pretty good job of him and Ben Johnson being able to get the ball out of his hands really quick and pick
Yeah.
up a lot of those blitzes. He doesn't take a lot of sacks either, and I think that's something people don't give him a lot of credit for. For him to not be the most athletic quarterback, he's not going to get out there and run unless it's a design and you give him a straight, clean, clear run. He still manipulates the pocket pretty well. He senses pressure pretty well.
Yep.
And Jared will throw the ball away. He'll throw the ball away.
Oh, in the dirt.
Um,
Yeah. If it's
yeah,
not there. Yep. Yep.
yes. He's not going to take too many bad plays.
That's what I like about, and think about that. What you just said, I think that is the great equalizer going in the playoffs, man. Think about it. I mean, Jared Goff has been the constant guy. I mean, it just dawned on me that he's the constant. And like you say, he's not gonna he's not gonna do anything
Yeah.
crazy or
He may
do any.
throw an interception. Like they all throw interceptions from time to time, but he's not going to just give a game away for us.
Exactly, exactly. I think the two most dangerous quarterbacks in the NFC, other than Goff, obviously Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels hasn't done it. Obviously he's got to make play. And Jordan Love, obviously, we talked about Jordan Love all year, and I think Goff is smack dab right in the middle with Stafford. And if you talk about them guys, you got to talk about Jared Goff as well. You know what I'm saying? Jalen Hurts. Go down the line. So for me, I just think that this game is, we don't have to run up the score for me on the Niners. We don't have to beat them 30-10 for me to say, oh man, the Lions gonna you know, bury this team and just, if they don't blow them out, that shows me that they're not good. You know what I mean? I don't think so. I think the Niners going to play inspired football. You know what I'm saying? So they don't want to, they're not just going to get mollywopped on Monday Night Football, but I think they got a way better team than the Bears. So I expect a better game. But I just think ultimately, I think our offense is going to be too overwhelming, man. We could score at will, and I think right now, unless you're able to stop it, you getting 30 put on you, man. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the Eagles. I don't care if it's the Vikings. I don't care if the Packers. If they don't stop what we're trying to do, obviously it sounds simple, but the offense is the reason why. You know what I mean? We're gonna win these games and ultimately go far in the playoffs because we can score at will. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's a fad. I don't think we could come in and say, if the Lions, put it this way, if the Lions score 17 in a playoff game, I'd be shocked, Walt. That would tell me that we would have a turnover laden game. Our offensive line didn't play good. We getting sacked at will. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see any team dominating us like that. You know what I'm saying? Up front. Basically to like for the Lions to lose the game, it would have to be a game like Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? Where it's 48-42, 45-40. I don't see anybody beating us 17-10 or anything like that. It's not gonna happen.
Well,
Not with
I mean, you made an interesting comment. It made me think while you was going on. It's when was the last time Detroit lost to a team they wasn't supposed to lose to? Like
it's been a
if
long
you go back
time.
to last year, if you go back to last
Long
year,
time.
Baltimore beat us, but people expected Baltimore to beat us. There's no
Yeah.
shame in losing to Baltimore. Dallas was still a playoff team at that point in time when they beat us, and you can argue whether or not they should have beaten us or not. But outside of that, who was the last team to actually bad team? Because Tampa was a playoff team last year. Tampa probably will be a playoff team this year. They beat us this year.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
You look at it, Buffalo is one of the best teams in football. They beat us. So who was it? Honestly, who was
I
it? If you go
remember
back to the year
vaguely.
before last, we beat the Giants, we beat the Giants, we beat the Jets, we beat the Raiders.
Yeah. And did we
So
lose to that game? Now, that was a while. That was so long ago.
we swept the South this
Yeah, I
year.
was thinking Minnesota. Remember we lost by a field goal to Minnesota or something like that. But I don't think at that time we was uh
No, Minnesota was still
Minnesota
good
was
though.
okay.
Yeah, Minnesota, we can lose to Minnesota. Like it's well, not this year, but if we lose to Minnesota, we kind of look at them like, okay, you know what? That's kind of similar to losing to Green Bay because Minnesota's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay's not bad, but the last when was the last time a team that we supposed to have actually beat, we didn't? And that's I think the tell sign of a really good head
Mm-hmm.
coach
Hmm.
is at the end of the day, y'all gonna be ready because I'm gonna make sure you're
Yeah.
ready. Ain't nobody booby trapping us. Ain't nobody ambushing
Yeah.
us. I would be shocked if they went to Frisco and that game was even
Mm-hmm.
close. Like Frisco missing too many people. They done shut down Trent Williams for the rest of the season
So,
too. Now, granted, Kittle is still
yeah.
dominant,
Yep.
but that offensive line is bad right now. It's bad. There were questions in Frisco on why not throughout the week whether or not Shanahan should have actually set down Purdy for the rest of the season because they felt like what was the point of him taking the
Yeah.
beating. we went through so much defensive line wise over the past 6, 7, 8, 9, 10
Yeah.
weeks. Um, Buffalo dominated our defensive line for the most part, and then their quarterback dominated. But right after that, we got right. We got right against the Bears. We needed that Bear game. That was perfectly timed by the league. They knew the Bears wasn't going to be
Yeah, and I think
good.
like Casey,
And then we could get right against Frisco to
I was gonna
Monday
say
night.
Casey and Corey. I mean, 3 1 3 they did point out the Panthers game. I think that's a good talking point. You know what I mean? The Panthers, remember that game? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
accurate because Carolina wasn't really that good then. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they had Bryce Young at the time. I think it might have been Sam Darnold. I think wasn't it
no.
Sam Darnold was the quarterback that game, if I'm not mistaken,
It.
or PJ might have been
I think
PJ Walker, PJ
PJ
Walker,
Walker.
something like that. But
It was oh man, who the hell? Either way, it was nobody that was relevant, but it wasn't even a quarterback. Remember, they ran the ball for what
yeah,
240
yep,
on us
they sure did.
with Deontay Foreman, and yeah, so it was y'all right, y'all
That's
right.
good work by y'all saying that. Yeah, I mean, again, defensively, getting I like the fact that Malafon was playing. I do like that, as much as everybody uh laugh at, I still Malafon with my guy, man, because he brings so much different, he gives us a way different look. He can support the run. I do like that he's back in there, man. 'Cause I think he's going to be a guy that we really need him down the stretch in the playoffs. The scheme's going to be
Yep,
heavy. Like you say, you did reference Anthony Pittman. As a guy during we did our preseason shows, and we both admitted, Wayne State kid, we liked Anthony Pittman, root for him, and then the team liked Anthony Pittman. I think it was a numbers game with him. I don't think he was like he
yeah.
can't play. He's a special teams demon, man. You know what I'm saying? So it was a really
It's like they get the reactions out of them that they never got out of James
exactly,
Houston.
exactly. And I think you made a really good point. Like people coming in here showed you that the organization as a whole has turned the corner because you know, you getting guys that's just coming in here, man, just doing anything to just, you know what I'm saying? To say whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing to keep this train moving. So, um, now one guy I haven't seen on our depth chart is not anything happened with Jamal Adams. I haven't heard anything. I don't even see Jamal Adams listed on our team anymore. I don't know. Um, I know.
Um, I haven't seen anything
Mhm,
either, but we did hear, of course, about David Long being released once
yeah,
they did officially bring back Pittman. They let Long go. I was kind of surprised by that, but we did
yeah.
talk about it the day that they got
Mhm.
him, and the fact that I kind of felt as a player, but at the end of the day, we're not privileged to being in the locker room. We don't know how these guys mesh. We also discussed how he left Miami, going from a guy that was a team captain there, leading them in tackles and having the best statistical year of his career
Yeah.
last year, to him being released, for him being demoted to special teams, then released. So there was something going on there. They brought him here. I was the guy that felt he was probably going to make the team next year. And who knows? We could be sitting around late July, early August, and we could be talking about David Long
Hmm.
being in camp,
Oh yeah, for sure, for
you
sure.
know, for all we
Yeah.
know.
DJ Reader's been a guy who's been battling in there, man. Reader been battling. Tough
Tough
guy,
guy.
man. And for all I remember it was some people saying, when we draft him, when we signed him that, you can't depend on the guy. He's injury prone, he's at the end of his career, blah, blah, blah. DJ Reader just continues to be, I'm happy we got him. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the veteran um, the veteran leadership of this team, man. Yeah, yep. Just Ralphie. Just I was going to mention Quan Alexander. I seen he got let go as well. And Alexander, I thought did some good things. And he still could maybe. I heard some rumor he could maybe come back too. Maybe could come back. You know what I mean at a later time, but just what you said, with David Long, it's like he could be in camp. You know what I'm saying? If no one picks him up, so yeah, I did hear about the Brandon
Yeah.
Joseph thing too. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You seen the video
I didn't
too?
see the video. I know what happened in Dearborn,
Yeah.
I think, wasn't it? And then I think the next day he was off the team, bro. He was like they cut.
Yeah, there was no, and they liked
They
Brandon
really
Joseph,
liked
but that
him.
just goes
Yep.
to show you. That just goes to show you, man. There's so much going on behind the scenes in these locker rooms. We don't know what other issues they could have prior had
Hmm.
with him. And it's crazy because as soon as I incorporated him into the
Yep.
scheme, I drew up my whole 4-2 scheme and everything, and I had him on the back end playing strong safety with Joseph. And then I moved Branch down into the slot, and then I had Amik Robertson on the perimeter with Arnold. And I had all this planned out with him. And then the very next morning,
Hmm.
release,
Yeah.
driving drunk. Like, oh
Remember
man,
the
as soon as I
Yeah,
give you a
remember the game
chance.
we went to, Wall? Remember they played Seattle? He was playing single high safety by himself. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It was a big
Yep.
responsibility for Brandon Joseph, and yet he's off the team, man. That's crazy. So, like you said, it had to been more to it. Obviously, yeah, people bring
And
Corey
Corey right
Wright. I
about
thought
this.
about the same thing too.
This man had what, 3 so far since he
Yeah,
been in the
yeah,
league?
yeah. Not that you're trying to bring people demons up, but you know what I'm
Well, I
saying.
mean, it's obvious though that if you can play, that's how was it in high school? You ain't if you was the star athlete, you ain't have to go to you ain't have to go to class. You damn near didn't have to go to high
Right,
school.
right.
So yeah, it's
Hmm.
unfair. The optics of it look real bad. But if you
Yeah,
can play, look at Josh Gordon.
yeah, yep, yeah. And like I said, man, it had to been something because man, he was a big part. He was a big part of what they was doing. I thought, you know what I'm saying, homegrown kid. What out of he didn't he go to Northwestern, transferred to Notre Dame, I think, before we took or transferred vice versa. Just a good kid. Just seemed like that he had it. Obviously to play for this coaching staff to be out there on Sundays, you got to be, if you're playing for this team, this organization, these coaches on Sunday, they
Trust.
trust you. You know what I'm saying? So they had to trust the young man. So, yeah, so you hate to see that. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, Brandon Joseph get picked up somebody somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Hope this not.
It's another hole in the
Yeah.
defense, man.
But you know what though?
Yeah.
Uh, you know, are you Kirby Joseph seems like he hasn't had the same effect. I was going to say this the last week. Kirby Joseph just seems like he hasn't had the same effect. Is that what I'm saying? Is maybe is it scheme? I'm not saying he's not any good, so don't kill me in the comments. I'm not saying that Kirby Joseph's not good. We know that, but what I'm saying is it just don't seem like the opportunities are there like they were not. That could be a number thing. I can answer my own question maybe before I let you answer it. Maybe because we don't have the pressure up front, that doesn't make Kirby Joseph's skill set like something that
Yeah.
to be looked out for. You know what I'm saying? But now it just doesn't see. I see Brian Branch making plays all over the place every week, but it just
Yeah.
Joseph
Yeah.
maybe he's just playing center field. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's just trying to keep everything in front of him, but does he look different, or is it
Yeah.
scheme, or I mean, what you think about Kirby Joseph?
I mean, I think he's still all around good
Mm-hmm.
safety. Now that, and I agree with you. If you go back to probably Tennessee, his numbers, his pass defense numbers had kind of steadily declined a little bit. You don't see him making as many big plays because as we kept losing more and more pressure up front
Mm-hmm.
within that front seven, now he can't do what he
That's right.
likes to do, which is drop. He can't drop deep. We're not getting that pressure that you can't really force these quarterbacks to make these air throws and these poor reads anymore because we're not getting the pressure. So now teams aren't really attacking him downfield that much either.
Mm-hmm.
Like teams get a good read on you. They pro teams, they realize, okay, you know what, we're not gonna play around with Joseph
Yeah.
too much. Branch is a different safety. Branch is a higher hybrid impact type of safety. Branch is gonna play in the box. Branch can play in the slot. They blitz Branch. They put Branch on the back end. Kirby's more of that true blood free safety back there. And those type of safeties that play the back end, it's hard for them to get a lot of big plays if they're not getting pressure up
Mm-hmm.
front. You know what I'm saying? Their interceptions are kind of
Yeah.
created for the most part. But you look at a guy like in Atlanta with Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates is a free safety, but Bates is also allowed to do a lot more as far as reading wise. I'm not sure how much responsibility they really give Kirby in this defense because you don't see Kirby do a whole lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
But they intentionally use Branch to do a lot of other things. So, like I said before, he's used kind of in that old school Brian Dawkins role
Yeah.
that the what's my man name? who was the old school defense coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles back in the
No,
day under
Buddy
Andy
Ryan.
Reid? No, no, not Buddy Ryan. It was old dude. But yeah, pretty much similar in that same instance right there. But no, I still think he's a good player. I don't think anything's really declined. He's just not getting those same
Yeah,
opportunities as he
facts. And I
was.
think Corey just said it too. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the Lions are piecing this thing together. They are, what I'm saying, week to week. I think uh it's a week to week journey with this team. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, it's gonna have to be that way, man. You know what I'm saying? Even Dan Campbell even said that. He go, whatever we gotta do, all we have to do is score one more point than an opponent. And he said, if we look at it like that, we just got to make it work. Like I think Marcus Spears, who I love Marcus Spears on ESPN. He said the same thing. He said, listen, he said in the NFC North playoffs moving forward, you only got to be better than your opponent for 3 hours, man. And that's a really good way to look at it.
Thank
You know what
you.
I'm saying? And things
Thank you.
can change. Things can look one way. One team could look invincible. Oh man, Josh Allen. The last time the Lions played him, they gave up 48 points,
Dude, how many times we seen 13, 14 wins get to the
and
playoffs and
they
go
get
one and
right,
done? If it's a bad matchup, you going
right.
home. It ain't no best of
Right,
seven.
right. So the Lions and their lack thereof on defense, I think is gonna fool a lot of people. I really do. I think that they're way more smart. They're not just gonna sit back and play one way uh this week and then turn around and do the same. I think they're really good at adjustments. I think Aaron Glenn has showed he can do it on the fly. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to have a top three defense to win. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're opportunistic, like the Denver Broncos, they kind of remind me of them a little bit. I really like the Broncos defense, by the way, but they're not intimidating. They're not. That they can cover on the outside. They got pretty good safeties. They got a couple guys that can get to the quarterback. And that's basically what you need from week to week. You know what I'm saying? You only probably need to make 7 or 8 plays during the game. You know what I'm saying? Like Tony Dungy always said. He said, "Can you give me?" I used to always ask He said he would always ask his team, like, "Can you give me 7 or 8 good snaps and pressure the quarter?" You know what I'm saying? Think about it. We need Zadarius maybe to give us 7 or 8 good, you know, uh, 7 or 8 good snaps. Knock the ball away, strip sack, or put a couple pressure, stop a third down. You don't need to do it every drive. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, I'm more than comfortable than I was with the Lions defense maybe 3 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? I like going into it. I really am. You know, NFL is about schemes. NFL is about exploiting weaknesses, and of course, we got weaknesses. But I think our off,
And coaching for
yeah,
that matter. You can't avoid bad coaching in the NFL.
I just think when it comes down to it, this is how I look at it. If we giving up points, right? I believe that our offense will make up for it. I really do. I think that they would have to, if we giving up 17 in the first half or 20, I think we're going to score 27 in the first half. You know what I'm saying? I just think the offense, I haven't seen anybody that can stop our offense. So that's why if you go out there, you stop us, then hey, you deserve to win. But if we can make 3 or 4 good, decent plays during the game on defense, and our offense continually could pull most of the weight, Lions gonna be fine, man.
Definitely. I want to ask you a couple things. I want to go through the depth chart real quick. Um, what do you think about Mahogany? Because we touched on Mahogany about 15, 20 minutes ago. Played really well given the opportunity. He was given to start last week. He seems to be the future. He's younger, he's bigger,
Yep.
more athletic, longer, more active of
Yep.
body out there. And we also talked about figuring out being able to find that median between playing a veteran and realizing maybe the younger player is the better player. We talked about Graham Glasgow the last 2 or 3 weeks, how the game looks like from a physical standpoint, because Graham, even going back to Michigan, Graham was never really a big time athlete. He was always a tough, hard nosed guard slash center, a true vet in the league.
Yeah.
There's been some games over the past, like the Buffalo game, even though Buffalo, Houston for that matter, were games where our offensive line on the interior looked overwhelmed. It was a red flag for me because I know you watch those types of things too. Our viewers out there, I know you guys, you ladies out there watch those types of things because y'all follow us. Y'all know we into that type of stuff. You got to be into that type of stuff to actually listen to us. But that offensive line, there were some games where there was some smallish, more athletic, more explosive defensive tackles, three techs, some two techs that gave our interior offensive line problems. Like Zeitler's a vet. I like
Hmm.
Zeitler. I like Zeitler, but he and Glasgow are kind of those fringe guys right now. And it looked to me last week like, okay, you know what? Mahogany may still be the baby. I understand Mahogany hasn't given us anything throughout the entire offseason. Health wise, he wasn't able to. His very first game, he didn't look too
Hmm.
good. Some people made a big deal about that, but at the end of the day, he's a rookie starting his not starting his first game, but getting his first couple few
Yeah,
snaps. He looked really good last week. Now, granted, it was against the Bears, but you kind of want that for a rookie. I want my rookie's first game to be against somebody weak.
yeah,
Mainly, I want you to develop some confidence a little bit. We talked about that with Michael Penix last week, how strategically the Falcons started him against the
yeah.
Giants. And then they got what I think not Carolina. No, not yeah, I think they do got Carolina this week, if I'm not mistaken. So what do you think about the offensive line? And then Source Doll as
Hmm.
well. We've kind of been like, hey, I think the Source Doll, um,
Experiment.
William and Mary pick thing is kind of like,
Hmm.
okay, I don't think he's a starter at any one of the five positions in the NFL, especially not for us. Is he a rotational guy that, okay, we get caught in a bind like we did this year? Can he step in and help out? Sure.
Yeah,
But I think the time for putting him in there thinking he's going to be an actual rock, a pillar of this offensive line, I don't think that's it. So what do you think about Mahogany and should the younger guy play and the guard play
yeah.
overall right now?
Yep. Good question, Walt. Just like Joseph. What's up, Jo? Just like he just said, man. He did look damn good, and I think we text each other. I might have texted somebody and told him Mahogany looked good. He know. I know. I couldn't believe he was playing. First of all, remember I was like, man, I didn't know. Um, that he was actually gonna play. You know what I'm saying? So
Gave this man a
yeah,
man.
and Mahogany is a guy. You just said it, Walt.
Ton of snaps in
Yep,
Boston
yep. And
College.
remember,
I think it was a 5-year
yes, and
starter.
I remember our draft talk for me at guard. I remember it was Zach Frazier, from West Virginia that
Yeah.
I really like.
It was
Yep,
Cooper
Cooper
BB.
Beebe, and then it was Christian Mahogany. And then when we got him, when we drafted him, we both were really excited. Him and
We both said he was going to be the starter eventually this at some point in
yeah.
time this season, and we
Yep,
nailed it
and
again.
then Brad Holmes even went a step further. Brad Holmes was pretty much like this guy's a dirtbag. You know what I'm saying? And he embodies everything we are. And if you look at some tape, I don't know if you want to call it Instagram tape, but I did see on Instagram it was a guy who highlighted Kristen Mahogany, and man, he had about 3 or 4 plays, Walt, where he literally parted like 3 guys out the way himself, man. You know what I'm saying? To have him and Sewell on our line to be able to do that, boy, that I can to answer your question. I can see him starting real quick. You know what I'm saying? Over Glasgow. I know Glasgow's playing the left side right now at guard, and you got Zeitler on the right. But right now, it's work. If you
Yeah.
could tell, if you telling me to have the middle of our line to have Zeitler, Ragnow, and Mahogany, and we didn't even mention Sewell yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with that, bro.
Well, he's the only rock left, if we being honest, because Decker's looking like he's kind of on the
Yep.
decline for the most part, health wise. You got to have some consistency over there at left tackle, whether you decide to move Panay over there moving forward or keep Panay at right and then draft a new left tackle. But yeah, even Frank for
Hmm.
that matter. Like, there's no guarantee Frank's gonna be
Yeah,
back
we
next season.
definitely got to.
If we win it, I think Frank
Yeah,
is done.
yeah. We definitely got to replenish that spot. I agree. Even with the emergence of Chris Mahogany, I do think, and they will draft another guy. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like you said, what it's going to be a center. It's going to be, well, you could be a guard center combo. It could be a guy who can play both. You know what I'm saying? That would be nice. Another, guy who can play both spots. But yeah, and we said it. The offensive line is probably one part of the team, man, where regardless of what happens the rest of the way, you want to replenish that spot, man. You want to keep the strength of your team strong, and Yeah, and then Corey just mentioned, Giovanni Manu. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they really have really hot plans for him. I don't know if he can play. I'm not even gonna sit here and act like I'm gonna try to handicap it. I don't know what Giovanni Manu is. I don't. I know he a
Brent.
big guy. You know what I'm saying? I know he a big mountain of a dude. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but
Yeah.
as back to Mahogany, he deserves all the highlights this week, man, because he did play pretty good, and that D line ain't bad in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he did all right. It was good to see. So, will he start this week? That's gonna be the question. Is he gonna start even though Glasgow's back, maybe back practicing healthy? If you're the coach of that water, you're gonna put Glasgow out. I think this is a spot for Mahogany in the regular season game. Still, pretty a decent opponent with a decent defense. Let's see what Chris Mahogany does again. To see how keen he impact the game. On his side of the line. So
Yep. To highlight Brent's comment, Mahogany's performance last game makes me think maybe we can draft one less O lineman next year. It's possible because we've been saying for the last year or so that this team, Panay Sewell was the
mhm.
baby. He was a baby of all of it. We knew Jonah Williams wasn't gonna necessarily be a long term answer for us at all. So he eventually left. Taylor Decker, by the time everything got
Mhm.
here, the culture, the rebuild
Yeah.
was done. You're talking about a guy that's already in what year 7 or 8, I think is it for Decker? And Decker has had his share of injuries going back to with the last regime that was
Yeah.
here. So we've been saying for a minute now that Panay was the
Mhm.
baby in all of this. They needed to find another young baby building block to play next
Gotta
to
take.
him. And Mahogany, I think, can be that. He can play either guard position. He did at Boston College. I'm not sure if he provides any center help at all. But it's very good to see a player, a guard, a talent of his size. You're talking about 6'5" dude who's 6'5", bordering almost, I think, 320, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. Ton of experience, 25 years old. So you're getting a guy kind of who's in his physical prime as a
Yeah.
rookie. So if he's healthy, we both said prior to the draft that if everything was good with him, because that was pretty much the only knock, other than the age. And I think when it comes to the draft now, picking offensive linemen, teams are kind of shying away from the old school way of thinking, which is upside, upside,
Mhm.
upside. I'd rather have the 21-year-old project right now who has a bunch of question marks but has size and athleticism over the 25-year-old 4-year player or 5-year player at
Yeah.
24 years old who could step in right now and help us. And I still think to answer Brent's question, I think it all depends on how the draft falls
Yeah.
because we're gonna do a lot of draft
Yeah.
shows. And interesting enough, man, um, Source Dog went to William and Mary,
Yeah.
right? One of his old teammates could possibly be the number one tackle taken in this class, and that's Charles Grant. That's a name that a lot of people, Lions fans, I'm pretty sure y'all haven't heard, but it's a very, very low key name. And at least from what I've been hearing around the league, that's the guy who could possibly, once they get into the workouts, the Senior Bowl invite. I believe he's going to be at the Senior Bowl. He's a guy that a lot of teams around the league believe. And they listen, if you can play, you can play. They don't really care about what school you
Nah.
go to anymore. But yeah, they view Charles Grant as probably being a mid first round pick, if not the first tackle
Hmm.
taker. So this draft is deep, man. It's a lot of 6'7", 310, 315-pound tackles. If you're looking for those athletic guys that can play more in the zone scheme, we do a lot rushing the ball wise, 2 tight ends, 3 tight end sets. So do we want a blocking tight end? Do we want another hybrid type of guy? We
Yeah.
need help though.
A
I
little bit
think,
more.
and even Kingsley, the
Yeah.
the
From
center
Florida. From
from
Florida.
Florida that we
Hmm.
signed. Yeah, he's a guy. This was a guy that was trending to be a second round pick before last year's draft, and then he had some issues or injuries at Florida. He's a guy that we got as an undrafted free agent. The team likes him. They let him go for a minute and brought him back. I think we've got some young guys too already in this system that they really
Hmm.
like. But I would still go. It all depends on how the draft falls, though. I think we need help in the trenches on both sides of the football.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah, and I totally agree. I totally agree. Can't wait for the draft coverage. I mean, I want to wait because I want a deep playoff run, but yeah, and I think that that's one thing. one of the reasons why we continue to do this show, because the information is there on players. And I think that, last year we did highlight Christian Mahogany. That was a guy that we kind of said, man, if we get this guy, he could be a guy that could be a mainstay. You know what I'm saying? And not just a
Yeah.
depth guy. He could be a starter. And I think that he will be. You know what I'm saying? I think he's just trending up. So it's good to see that. Um it,
Minnesota
yeah,
Timberwolves,
everybody
Joseph.
love the Timberwolves hat. That is a sweet hat too. Sweet hat. I'm
I
gonna tell you one
appreciate it,
reason
man.
why I don't like the Timberwolves. I'm gonna just
Damn.
I like Anthony Edwards. I really do. Anthony Edwards is my guy.
Yeah.
You know that we text back and forth about Anthony. I don't like Rudy Gobert, man. I just can't stomach him, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe he get dunked on way too much to be his size. Maybe he not. It,
Rudy's
he is
very
annoying,
uncomfortable, man.
dude.
Like
I'm telling you, he annoying, man. He can't go out and get some rebound. I don't know. I just don't like Rudy Gobert. So, I like the hat though. That is pretty sweet.
uh,
Yeah, but our Pistons coming, man. Them boys coming. Them boys.
oh
Red K
yeah,
Cunningham ready to play ball now. That guy mean business, bro. Him and Ivy, dude. We'll save that for another show, another time. But anyway,
definitely.
yeah. But looking at this offense, and actually, them last we didn't talk about it yet, but our guys really bounced back. Our offensive line, because I thought they kind of didn't play well at all the week before. You know what I'm saying, Walt? I really thought that they got manhandled by Buffalo, man. They really did, and man, that was the first time that they haven't they haven't dominated, and I think they got back to it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like the trick play. I didn't like it. I didn't like the fall into fake play. I didn't like it at all. I'm gonna tell you, maybe call me an old school grumpy old man. I
It's part of what we
I
do. It's part of what we
I just
do, man.
for me it worked. It looked cute on TV. I was actually laughing because I didn't think it was a fake though. I really thought Jameer Gibbs slipped. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was like a busted play that kind of. Golf got it together, got touchdown. But just seeing how they orchestrated it made it even more ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It's like really y'all doing that, but we don't need to do that. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying we was gonna score that touchdown anyway. Because I heard people say, well, if the Lions so good, I think Colin Carr was killing them because of it, saying if they so good, well, why are they doing trick plays, blah blah blah. To a point, I get it. Like you said, going for it on fourth down, that don't bother me at all. You know what I'm saying? Just some of the times, you question it, but whatever. But that play right there kind of was like, man, Ben Johnson try anything. You know what I'm saying? Which that part of it I do like.
You know what though? That's what it's gonna take to beat Kansas City. I mean, that's if we play Kansas
Yeah.
City, but that's what's gonna take, man. Like if you watching Pittsburgh offensively, and there's is like night and day completely between watching the Lions offense and watching Steelers offense. But teams don't really apply a lot of pressure to Kansas
Hmm.
City. They play Kansas City really tight. Like they want a real close game. Teams play Kansas City like they're the Chiefs from what 3 years ago with Tyreek Hill being out there and Kelsey in his prime. Like this ain't the same
Yeah.
offense. Even though they got a lot of speed on the perimeter, they're not very
Yeah.
explosive. And if you play Detroit, and I was saying this the other day, man, watching that Steeler game on Christmas, Detroit ain't scared. Like Detroit's going to apply pressure to Kansas
Yeah.
City. Like these trick plays, if they get to the Super Bowl and they play the Chiefs, they're gonna run about
Hmm.
two of them. There's two plays they're gonna probably run that we haven't seen. Like this team is they built for the moment. That's why I've been another reason why I've been saying all season. I think that we're a terrible matchup for Kansas City because we're not gonna play down to them. We're not gonna go in there thinking, well, we just want to keep this game tight. We want to keep it close.
Yeah.
We're gonna mistake-free football, and we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna push the ball
Yeah.
downfield, and everybody end up losing
Yeah.
against them. We're not gonna play Kansas City like that. That's if we play them. I know I'm getting a little ahead of
Yeah.
myself, but if we just talking about matchups, we're gonna put pressure on them. We're gonna force Andy Reid and Mahomes to open up because nobody's been able to force that offense to open up all
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Facts. Facts. Um, I I got some game. Let's talk about a little bit around the league. Um, Listen, the biggest game of the weekend, obviously, the Packers and the Vikings. You know what I'm saying? As Lions fans, we would be kind of you want to. Even I can't believe I'm saying this out of my mouth, but we kind of want to root for Green Bay tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Much as I can't stand the fan base at all, but I do realize they have an incredible team. You know what I'm saying? So I do recognize when a team is good, I give them their props, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not so much of a homer where I realize that if another team is good, then you think all the everybody else is shitty. That's not the case here. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, who do you who you going with first of all? 425 matchup. Lions. I'm sorry. Packers, Vikings. Minnesota's at home. I'm trying to pull up the point spread. Um,
Whatever, Rob. Don't be. You'll never silly ass hat my hat.
um,
ah, Packers
yeah,
and
it's
Vikings.
1.5. Minnesota's 1.5 point favorites. Walt over and unders 48.5. Money line, like I said, remember I said it's even, so it's even money on these teams, man. Green Bay 10 minus 102, Minnesota minus 118 on the money line. Man, it's going to be an incredible game, I think. But I'll let you go first if you want to.
Uh, you and I was talking about this before we started live, man. Green Bay could probably, no, probably, very possibly, Green Bay could get swept by Minnesota and Detroit and still make the playoffs, which I think is crazy and a testament to how strong our division has been this season. Does the game mean more to Minnesota or does it mean more to Green Bay? Because we know Minnesota playing for the number one seed as well. They would love nothing more than to knock us out. We would love nothing more than to knock them out the last game of the season. Green Bay playing for some pride too. Because I think from a mental standpoint, fan base wise, coaching wise, player wise, they've been talking a lot of shit after losses. They talk shit after losing to Minnesota earlier in the season about how they was better than
Yeah,
them still. They lost to us earlier in the season at home. They still ran their mouth about how they was better than us still. We turned around and beat them again, swept them. They still was running
yeah,
their mouth. There's only so much mouth running you can do if you get swept by Detroit and
yeah,
Minnesota. So I think Green Bay playing for some pride, man. You mentioned Jordan Love. Do I trust Jordan Love more than I do Sam Darnold? Sure, perception wise, I do, but Darnold could go out there and have another really good
hmm
game and prove people
yeah,
wrong again. I just think this game means, from a playoff standpoint, because Green Bay is probably feeling like, look, if we finish seventh or whatever, and we got to play the number two seed, whether it's Detroit, they probably still feel like they got the confidence if we finish second that they could come here and beat us. They probably feel that way. If the Vikings finish second, they feel like they could go there and beat them too. Ain't proved it because they done lost to both of us. They 0-3 against both of us this season so far. I'm gonna take Green Bay. I think Green Bay is real Jekyll and Hyde. But when you see, I think the really good Green Bay is just a little bit
yep,
better than Minnesota because I think Jordan Love is that much better of a player. I think Jacobs is the difference in the
yep.
backfield as well. So I'm gonna take Green Bay. Um, you talking 1.5, you're talking about Green Bay having to probably win by a field goal for the most part. I think it can come down to that. Also, somebody has to cool Minnesota off.
hmm
They've been winning a lot of real close games too. I mean, Buffalo came along and cooled us
hmm
off. Maybe we gonna cool Minnesota off with next
Yeah,
next week. It could be
yeah.
us. But yeah, I'm gonna take not Minnesota. I'm gonna take Green Bay in that. What was the over under on there?
48 and a half, if I'm not mistaken. I was surprised. That's kind of low, actually. I thought it'd be a little bit more than that. Yeah, 48.
Yeah, because I could see a 28-24 type of game, 28
Mhm.
26 type of
Yeah,
game right there.
I agree with you, brother. I think Green Bay the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Just what you just said. I trust the running game. Josh Jacobs been amazing for the Packers. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Jones has been good too for the Vikings, though. I know. I feel it was super random.
Can we see a zero
Yeah, yeah.
zero
I
tie
feel
though?
I feel what I feel what super random saying though. I feel what he's saying. I gotta we gotta talk about it because it's noteworthy because we
Yeah.
played because he's in the midst of the playoff run here. But Yeah, I like the Packers too. I like Josh Jacobs. Been amazing. And like I said, I don't want to slight Aaron Jones either. It just seems like to me, and I don't want to. And the Lions were being criticized for this too. But I think Minnesota's won a lot of close games, and I remember people was nitpicking the Lions like that too before we got good again, saying that y'all winning game, barely winning games. Y'all not putting teams away. Y'all not blowing teams out like we were this year. And now that's happening to them. And actually, I think last year, I think they were winning a lot of less than 7 point wins, stuff like that. So, and how I
Yeah,
feel about Addison and Justin Jefferson. I think they're both the best wide receiver tandem,
best
best
duo in
duo
the
in the
league.
league, man. Them guys are something else. Trying to cover them guys, but I think if you could neutralize it to a point and hold them to 24 points, you know what I'm saying, 27, I think that's what the Lions could do to beat that team. I think Green Bay's defense a little bit more talented. Edgerrin Cooper's becoming to be a monster, man. That's my guy. I'm still upset we didn't draft that guy, but anyway, I'm taking the Packers. I really do. I think they're going to go in there and beat Minnesota. I think they win this game by at least 6 points, something like that. And then next week's game not going to mean as much as we kind of think it's going to mean right now. So, and like you said, not to slight Sam Darnold because he's been amazing. You know what I'm saying? And I keep waiting. Remember, it's almost like it's funny how him and Goff had the same perception. Remember, Goff was like everybody's waiting on the shoe to drop for Goff. He's gonna turn into the bad year of Goff. It's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? But it hasn't happened. You know what I'm saying? And I think I've been saying it all year about Sam Darnold. I'm waiting for him to have a bad stretch and lose some game, but he hasn't done it. You know what I'm saying? So Green Bay all the way. It was one other game I wanted to talk to you about. Sunday night, Falcons and the Commanders. Huge game, man. It's going to be a huge game. I mean, we don't have to really elaborate too much on it, but I was just getting your opinion on it. Um, Washington at home, Walt. They're 3.5 point favorites to win this game. Over and under is 47 on this one. And the money line is Atlanta plus 150 and Washington minus 180. So this is the way I look at this game. I mean, Michael Penix is starting the new era in Atlanta football.
Rookie
Yeah,
on
rookie.
rookie.
It's going to be a great
Yeah,
matchup. I kind of just wish Atlanta would have went to Penix sooner. Maybe they might not have as much win. Maybe would have obviously with a veteran head coach, a veteran quarterback. You want to start the veteran quarterback to kind of keep it rolling, right? You don't want to start a rookie right off the bat. So what I'm saying is I'm giving that to Washington only because Michael Penix hasn't been in there, and I think the chemistry, even though he played good last week, but a
the bigger
bigger
stakes this week.
stakes, tape. You know what I'm saying? I think Washington got damn good defense. They're decent. I mean, they're not super great, but they're decent. I like Washington in this spot at home. They got a home crowd in the playoffs, that type of thing. You know, I'm going with Washington, but I like Atlanta's weapons. I really do think Michael Penix is the right guy. You know what I mean? And to kind of push these guys forward, offensively and make them more of a threat because it's like Atlanta and shout out to Know That, and I know That Sports he says the same thing. It's just like, man, they don't they don't scare anybody. That's the thing. They got the play. They got Kyle Pitts. How can you have Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson? The weapons they have. They're all
Darnell
Darnell
Mooney.
Mooney, and they're just
They got three running
yeah,
backs.
and they're not, and they
yeah,
don't scare nobody. They don't scare anybody. So I think the
yeah.
offensive line might not be that great. The defensive line not that great. I think that's part of it. They do have to get some players in the trenches. But I'll let you take it away. I like Washington this week too, and to cover the points to beat Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think the New York Giants game last week was a good, solid warm up for
Mhm.
Penix. But this week you're talking about bigger stakes. You're not at home in this game. You're playing at Washington. Washington playoff contention. They're in there. If I'm not mistaken, they're in there
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah.
This is a team, veteran head coach and Dan Quinn. They're playing for a lot right now.
Hmm.
Sunday night, primetime game, going up against that Dan Quinn defense. Washington plays very, very physical football. I like the way they played defensively in the second half against the Eagles, even though, and I'm gonna say this,
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts was
yeah,
not there.
he was hurt.
But even with that being said, even when Hurts was out there in the game for the past few weeks, that offense hasn't been all that explosive. Not at least not through the
Yeah.
air. So, it's I do like Penix. I just think that at this moment, what they're going through, they probably should have put Penix in like 3 weeks
Hmm.
ago. Now you're talking about him getting his tires moving a little bit. Those belts get to going. Now he's going into a Washington game with high stakes, and this is his fifth career start, maybe, or sixth career start, and he's not making this his second career start. So I'm gonna take Washington. I'm gonna take Washington to cover the points
Hmm.
as well. Jayden Daniels, over the long run, we'll find out whether Jayden is better than Penix, or Penix is better than Jayden, or Caleb is better than both of them, or whatever it turns out to be, or Drake May over there in New England for that matter. But right now, Daniels is hot. You talking about the offensive rookie of the year? I don't think it's even close,
Hmm.
man. People have brought up Brock Bowers. Brock has been great, but I think to give rookie of the year to a tight end on a 4-win team is asinine over the quarterback of a team that could finish number one in their conference. I mean division for
Yeah,
that matter. It's just crazy, man. What he's accomplished as a rookie
yeah,
is
he's been
bananas.
great.
And then he beat a 13-win team. He beat a 12-win team in the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think he ran away with it. I think he clinched it last week. And if he has a really good performance Sunday night against Atlanta on
Prime
prime
time.
time, even though Atlanta's not a big time opponent, but I think that could be his coming out game nationally. If they go out there and they really hand it to Atlanta, he has a really good game statistically because he had 5 touchdowns last week
Yeah,
in that game. So I agree with you 100%. I'm gonna take Washington. I'm gonna take the under. I don't think it's gonna be that high scoring of a game
right,
either.
right. And then one last rapid fire question. I just wanted to ask you right out the blue. Who do you trust more? They're not playing each other, but down the stretch here, going into the playoff, you trust Harbaugh and the Chargers, or do you trust Sean Payton and the Broncos more?
Oh, good
Mm.
question. Good question. Um, man, you
They
you caught
both
me off
they
guard with
both
that
did a
one,
hell of a
man.
coaching job. I'm amazed how good of a transition Jim Harbaugh made this with the Chargers. You know what I'm saying? It's evident that his
Yeah, I trust Jim's brand of
yeah
football come playoff time more. Do I question because Herbert's been kind of beat up as of late. The receiving core has been
yeah
beat up. What's the name? Lad McConkey. He's been kind of in and out recently. He was kind of
yeah
pretty good for
man,
them
he's
this
good,
season, but
great, yeah.
yeah, I love Herbert. I like the fact that Harbaugh came in. He took what he applied in Stanford and San Francisco and Michigan, and he plugged it right into San Diego. That defense looked tremendously better under him. They unlocked the running game under him. That offensive line has
Hmm.
been good. But come playoff time, can I trust that you're going to allow your big time stud quarterback to win you a game if he
Yeah,
has to? Or is he going to be stuck and stubborn on, we're going to run on first, run on second, and we're going to set you up with a 3rd and 9 and convert it? Like, it doesn't always
yeah,
work that way. Now, Peyton, on the other hand, Peyton has shown like he'll let Knicks throw. He'll let Knicks put the ball in
hmm
the air. I think the Chargers are a better team, though.
yeah.
I think they're the better team. I would have to ride with the Chargers because like his brand of football, you can guarantee the Chargers are going to run the football. If they get there in the playoffs, they're going to run the football. But who is Herbert throwing to? That's a big
Good
question as
question. And
well.
I think what has happened is I think they're reemerging Quentin Johnston. I think because Quentin Johnston was like, remember we was like, I was like, he a bust, dude. Can't run, can't get open, slow as hell. He's been decent though. I mean, you look at Quentin Johnston last year, he was nothing. Like his stats was nothing. But I think this year they've turned him into
That guy ain't no good,
yeah,
bro. That guy ain't no good. Considering who they took ahead of him that year and the amount of drops he's had and the inconsistencies, not being good blocking wise, because you can't play wide receiver for Jim Harbaugh and not be a good blocker.
yeah,
That's something he's not tolerating. Where they drafted him
yeah.
to and the hype.
Yeah. Yeah, 6'4". Yeah, six
Ooh,
four, 23 years old, 6'4", 215. Kind of been a disappointment. I trust the Broncos more. I'm think I love Harbaugh to what he's done, but I think Bo Nix. I like the transition with him a little bit more as a rookie. Now, like you said, it do come down to experience of Herbert, but the one playoff game he was in, they lost. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if he might not have learned from his lesson yet. But he's got way better coaching, trust me, than Staley,
yeah.
because Staley was kind of ruining, holding the whole team back. But yeah, to answer your question, I think their defense is ready now. I think they're more opportunistic on defense. The Broncos, they like pesky flies, man. They're all over the place on defense. I like that about them. Um, they can play. These two teams are obviously in the same division too, so I think it's a good talking point just to see where these guys are at. Like just measuring their uh they're measuring their schemes, measuring just if you want to go tit for tat, down the tail of the tape on these two teams. I think, like you said, I think maybe the coaching may be a push right now. I think the quarterback play. I think Nix has played better than Justin Herbert. You know what I'm saying? And probably Herbert, obviously, the more talented quarterback, but he's played better to me. And then I think the Chargers defense, they need some more help. You know what I'm saying? They got a couple names, but they do need some help on that defensive line. Even though you got Bosa, whatever. To me, I don't know the whole Bosa thing, man. I don't know. He gets a lot of praise. I mean, he's had some good seasons, obviously, right? But I don't know if he's a guy that, again, he don't scare anybody to me. I mean, that's all. It's just like,
He's been hurt a
yeah,
lot and on the field plays been pretty underwhelming since that
yeah.
rookie season, honestly. And considering the hype he came out with, right along with his brother who came out, I think 2 years later. Nah, I get it, but he's still a really good player out there. It's they got some difference makers on that defense with the Chargers. They got some guys that can make some game changing plays
Now
though,
that offensive
for sure.
line, Chargers way better. You tell me you got Zion Johnson, the guy from Boston College. The guy I liked him from the start. Obviously you got Joe Alt, who I don't think Joe Alt has even given up a pressure this year. He's been so great. So they got some pieces, man. Just look out in the future for these two teams. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that's all. Just a couple high rising teams that I just wanted to kind of pick your brain about. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely,
As
definitely.
we put a ball in this show, Walt. I mean, to me, like I said, for me, for the Lions, 49'ers, I just want to see some pressure, man, on the quarterback. I think let's rack up a couple sacks. Let's get to the quarterback. Um, get the running game going. I think Jameer is another game where Jameer Gibbs going to shine. I think and I think the offense in general. I think is going to continue. Sam Laporta continually week to week, seeing like he's getting better. I think Sam finally healthy. I think Sam was hurt at the beginning of the season. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't already right, so he's been right. The all Jameson Williams has continued to be right. You know what I mean? It's just St. Brown. He's gonna bring it. That's the big advantage that we have over this team. They don't have anybody. I just named three guys on defense, on offense. They got one. You know what I'm saying? This week, I just don't see them even being able to compete like offensively with the Lions. So
Yeah, I agree. We're looking at some of these numbers. Lions -3.5, over under 50.5. Money line Detroit -198.
yeah,
Frisco +64. Not really a lot of room to make money on this game. They probably begging people to take San
hmm
Francisco. I just think that, man, Detroit, even if you go through the injury report, and I'm going to go through Frisco's injury report real quick because we didn't get an opportunity to really touch on that in this game. Well, at least not in this show so far. If I can find it, here we go. Here we go. All right, here we go. I think when you look at it for what it is, there's no quit and Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, they show no mercy. If you show any signs of submission, they're gonna jump on you. They're gonna use you for target practice. Frisco shutting down Trent Williams, I think, is them another form of them waving the red flag. You look at their injury report right now. Where the hell did the injury report go?
Yeah, I think it was. I had it up too.
Here, all right,
Okay,
I
got
got
it.
it.
Okay.
I got it. All right, so you got starting guard Aaron Banks, who really wasn't good anyway, dealing with a knee injury. Did not practice Thursday or Friday. His game status is unspecified. Robert Beal Jr., the defensive end, did not practice Thursday or Friday. Another guard, Spencer Buford, did not practice Thursday or Friday. Dre Greenlaw did not practice Thursday or Friday. Jair Brown, starting safety, he was limited both days. He should play. Leonard Floyd was limited both days. He should play. This list, Nick Bosa dealing with a hip as well as oblique injury, had a full day Thursday and Friday. He's on track to play. But for the most part, man, they got a lot going on right now. And granted, we got a lot going on too. But at the end of the day, man, we're too hot right
Mm-hmm.
now. They're too hot. If you look at where they're having the issues at and where we're good at right now, it makes no sense to believe that Frisco is going to actually take this game. I got Detroit covering that -3.5. That over under 50.5. I was going to take the under on it. Frisco has struggled to score mightily this
Mm-hmm.
season. Then you factor in the fact that all they kind of have right now offensively is a tight end for that matter. Offensively to pose any threat for Detroit. The offensive line has struggled to pass protect all season. They can't really unlock the running game. Granted, Purdy can move around a little bit, but you don't want to get him out there moving around too much and risk him taking unnecessary hits. To me, all these arrows point towards Detroit winning this game. I think they covered at 3.5. I'm going to take the under on that. I could see another 30-point game from Detroit
Yep.
offensively, somewhere around 30-17 for that matter. It's just these two teams are trending in completely polar opposite directions right now. And as you mentioned, this game is nothing like what we thought it was going to be when the schedule came out. We thought we thought this game right here could possibly decide the NFC Championship game, and right now it looks like it's not
Yeah.
at all.
Totally agree. Totally agree with you. I got 30. I got 30-17 Lions. Again, like I said, I don't have to rehash it again. It's just I just think our offense is better. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think they'd be able to stop us. So we'd be able to score when we want, when we need to. Get the fourth, get the first, get make the first downs when we need to. Keep the chains moving. It just for me, I just want to see us defensively, get that defensive line, get us settled. I want to see Anzarike, Broderick Martin. I want to see somebody be able to help DJ Reader and get some pressure on the quarterback. Hopefully we get a Pascal sack or a Za'Darius sack, or just get to the quarterback, man. We need that for our psyche, man, because I think people think, we've seen in the comments that Minnesota thinks our defense is our downfall. Green Bay thinks our defense is our downfall. You know what I mean? It's like they think that the defense is not good enough. So I just think that we kind of need to focus on that this week. So
Right. All right, we done held these people long enough. I know both of us got to get up out of here, man. Want to thank everybody for getting up early this Saturday morning and joining us. We had a pretty good turnout, listener wise. We got a lot of quality engagement as usual in the comment section. You guys know football like the back of your hands. That's why we enjoy having y'all on here. Make sure if you're not a subscriber, you haven't liked the video, haven't liked the channel, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We greatly appreciate it. Till next time, we got Minnesota coming up next week. Hopefully, this game coming up against Frisco, we'll be talking about a win next week. And we'll be talking about hopefully either wrapping up the division, number one seed, or maybe it'll already be wrapped up. But till next time, enjoy y'all weekend. One Pride.